Hi, lovely and darling viewers. It's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm doing another Top 5 Wednesday. As always, the Goodreads group is in the description below if you want to check that out. And this week's topic is books that relate to our Hogwarts house, which in my case is Slytherin. Um, so, first off, Slytherin has a reputation for being a bit evil, which is not entirely fair. There are plenty of wizards who have gone bad from the other houses, but I do think Slytherins are very cunning and ambitious, and we are a bit theatrical, and we definitely sometimes perpetuate that evil reputation. I think as Slytherins, we are actually maybe a bit more comfortable with gray areas. Those bits in between what is, straight right and straight wrong, and that gray area is kind of where we dwell. Anyway, that's my defense of my house. So first off, not as one of my 5 picks, but if you guys haven't read Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, this is a play set in the wizarding world, and it follows Harry Potter's son Albus and Draco Malfoy's son Scorpius, who are best friends and students at Hogwarts, and they're both Slytherins, and seriously, I love Scorpius Malfoy so much. So much. So if you love Slytherins and you haven't read Cursed Child yet, go do that. Like, seriously, it's so worth it. Moving on to my serious picks. My first one is Le Morte Arthur by Thomas Malory. This is a collection of Arthurian legend stories following King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table in Camelot, and specifically because of Merlin, who is a Slytherin. That's canon thanks to Pottermore. I love it. So this is a collection of kind of shorter adventures of King Arthur's life, and Merlin plays a fantastic role in several of these. I just love Merlin's such a strong character, and he's usually thought of as being a good guy, which is fun for Slytherin. But he definitely crosses the line sometimes, like when Uther wants to sleep with a married woman, and Merlin helps Uther by disguising him to look like the woman's husband. Or the role he plays in Arthur pulling the sword out of the stone and becoming King of England, or even just Merlin definitely doesn't have a problem interfering or guiding, maybe manipulating Arthur at times. I love Merlin. He is one of my favorite characters in literature ever, so I'm so proud he's a Slytherin. The next book I picked is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. This follows a young boy named Tom Sawyer, and he's a rambunctious little boy, but definitely clever and cunning, and not afraid of getting into trouble. I particularly love the scene in here where his punishment is to paint an entire wooden fence on his own, and it's a huge fence. It's going to take him like the entire day to do it. And Tom Sawyer manages to use his cunning to convince the other kids in the neighborhood that this is actually really fun, and he gets the other kids to do it for him. So mainly Tom's cunningness is why I picked this book. And also, not all Slytherin stories have to be dark. They can be fun, and Slytherins like to have fun too, so yeah. The next book I have is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, and I think Hester Prynne is a pretty good example of a Slytherin. So this book takes place in Puritan New England, and the Puritans definitely have very strict ideas of what is right and wrong, and they do not like the gray areas. But Hester kind of inhabits them, especially as she is pregnant and not married and won't tell anybody who the father is, which is kind of the main conflict in this book. She gets shunned for that, and is forced to wear this bright scarlet red letter so everyone knows that she committed adultery. I love how like strong Hester is and sticking to her ideals, and also incredibly loyal and not ratting out the father and telling everybody who he is. Um, and even just the act of getting pregnant outside of wedlock is bucking the trends of the time. So that's why I picked this book. Also, I have great short works of Edgar Allan Poe, but honestly, I think anything by Edgar Allan Poe is pretty awesome and Slytherinish. So I feel like as a Slytherin, our house appreciates the darker beauty in things. I mean, our house symbol is a snake, and we're in the dungeons, and our common room is underneath the lake. So I think aesthetically, our house is much darker, and I just really love Edgar Allan Poe's writing anyway. So anytime we get to talk about that creepy, dark, gothic Maccabee world that he writes about, whether it's the Raven or the Telltale Heart or the Pit and the Pendulum. I mean, we're not all evil, but I think we do somehow own that darkness sometimes. And finally, my last pick, which is not a novel or classic for that matter, is the Loki Agent of Asgard comics from Marvel, which are written by Al Ewing and illustrated by Lee Garbett. I really love Loki, guys. I've talked about this like a lot, especially this comic series, but I think it definitely fits in the Slytherin category. So we got Loki repping his awesome dark green emerald kind of costumes. But just personality wise, Loki's definitely a Slytherin. So Loki is the Norse god of mischief, the prince of lies, and pretty much generally the bad guy. So in the Agent of Asgard comics, Loki is trying to change his ways, and he's trying to be the good guy, and he's wrestling with his past and all these things that he's done and this reputation that he's gained, and he's fighting it. He's trying to be the good guy, and he's constantly having to deal with what everybody else thinks of him, which I feel like as a Slytherin, our house has to do that. If you are a Slytherin and you're trying to convince people you're not evil, then you're always fighting against that reputation of the Death Eaters and the Dark Lord. And so I feel Loki a lot for that reason. I also think Loki's a character who thinks a lot more. He's very cunning and ambitious. Like generally Loki wants to take over the world, especially in the older comics. Whether it's Asgard or Earth or whatever he's in, Loki's definitely got aspirations to rule, which is very Slytherin. He definitely uses his brains and his intelligence, making him quite cunning, and I definitely think Loki loves living in the gray area and bucking expectations. So that's my case for Loki being a Slytherin, even though I don't think I really had to debate that at all. That's pretty much a given. If there ever was a comic book character that's a Slytherin, it's Loki. Even the snake sometimes appears as Loki's symbol, as he's the father of the world serpent. So those were my picks for Slytherinish type of books. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with any of my picks. What books do you think make a good Slytherin stories? And what books do you think fall into any of the other Hogwarts houses? Or Ilvermorny, if that's your thing. So, peace out. I love you guys. Keep reading. Bye.